the office of somebody who was really a mutual client. So the very first thing we ever did was cooperate instead of compete. And we just decided to go with that. So Kerry is a partner in a marketing firm called Vivid Connections, and I think you will find that she is also a vivid speaker. Kerry.
Yes. Introduction. I have the pleasure of what is sometimes called the coma hour, which is just after lunch, after people have had their lunch. But thank you so much for inviting me today. And I looked at the question. I love brands, by the way, and you'll get that as we go through this. But I looked at the question, is it better to lead with hope or with truth, through the perspective of leading brands. And I did this because, as I say, I love brands, but also because this is a business panel. And so it's important to, I think, make the connection between NLP concepts and how we can adapt and leverage them in business perspectives. So, I think you all probably know what a brand is. And you probably can visualize lots of brands that you're close with already, that you have a connection to, that your life depends on, that you open your wallet and give all kinds of money to, and I'm seeing a few head nods. Those are the sorts of brands that we're talking about. And leading brands means that they're doing well in the marketplace. So they're probably a leader in their category or their segment, but they're a leading brand. And so those are the kinds of brands that we're going to look at today. I have two sort of little cases for you, and I will promise, I'm crossing my fingers, promise that I'll get through in my 12-minute mark. So, for those of you that like definitions, I'll just share with you what is a brand actually. What are we talking about? A brand is really the personification of a product, a service, or even an entire company. It is also a mental shortcut for decision making. And I think this is interesting because if we did our grocery shopping every day and we had to continually go through and make those decisions every time about what we were going to pick off the shelf and put in our cart, it would be completely exhausting. So brands help us make those little mental shortcuts and help us make decisions in our lives. The other thing a brand does, and you'll remember this, is it has a visual identity. And that just means it looks a particular way. It might have colors that signify something. It may have a shape or a form that is familiar. Often there's a logo involved, and so there's a particular memorable shape to that logo, and that's what we call visual identity. It also delivers a promise, and we were chuckling about this at lunchtime. Brands will offer you something. They will make a promise to you that say, I will give you white teeth, I will clean your clothes, I will, whatever that promise is that they're offering. And we actually expect them to deliver on that promise. We get a little ticked when they don't. So there is a promise that brands offer, and there is an expectation of consumers that brands will deliver on that promise. That's when you get to a relationship. And a relationship is when I've given you my money, I've accepted your promise. We have a relationship. I've come to rely on you as a brand. And therefore, the brands, we call it loyalty. So you continue to purchase us time and again, and we have this relationship. Further, the last point is around having a connection. And this is not for every brand. This is a few brands where they are lucky enough and have the privilege to make connections with consumers. So they captivate and they inspire, and they have a role in your life, and they're meaningful, and often they make a difference. And those are the brands that I'm attracted to and that I help my clients try to create. So, in thinking about a brand story, I'm going to share with you two. The first one is Tim's. Who's been to Tim's? So, my Tim Hortons story started when I was a kid. Every weekend we would get into my dad's station wagon and we would have a journey from Toronto to Collingwood to go skiing on the weekends. So it's Friday night, we've packed up the car, my dad's driving, the cats are everywhere in the car, and we'd pull over in Barrie, because that was a good spot to pull over. And we'd pull over on Bayfield Street, and my dad would say, okay, Care, let's go in and get a few sinkers, because that's what he called donuts. And so we'd get out of the car, we'd go in and get a couple sinkers. My dad would get a coffee, and we'd sort of refuel and so on. That location is still on Bayfield Street. I think you can still, yeah, you're right, still there. And so that was sort of how I grew up with Tim Hortons. The story changes a little bit now that I have my own kids, because now there's a wagon and there's Abby and Quinn and we're walking over to Yonge Street, and we're thinking about, well, will I get a Timbit or a raisin cookie, or Mommy's getting a coffee, or what will we get? But there's still that sort of ritual of going to Tim Hortons. Now, the truth about Tim Hortons is they sell coffee, they make donuts, they make cookies. Now they have ice cream, I think, in that Cold Stone Creamery thing they're still doing. So they're very innovative, they make stuff, they give me hot coffee. And I'll give you an example of that, because those are the truths about Tim Hortons. Those are the things that I know to be true about the brand Tim Hortons. So I'll play this for you, and you can...
It can be 7 in the morning.
Or 10 at night.
In Chilliwack, BC, or St. Peters, Nova Scotia. It could be Michelle.
Correct.
Or Jen.
But whenever.
Wherever you order them from Tim Hortons premium blend coffee, you know that it's always fresh. From Newfoundland and Labrador to Vancouver Island, Tim Hortons, the coffee hall.
Oliver, voiceover after that. Okay, but that's not all that compelling. Fresh coffee is good, I get it, but that's not what makes lineups like a mile long for pickup trucks through the drive-thru. That doesn't make me stand in line and not actually be that angry about it. So what is so compelling about Tim Hortons? And I think that compelling part is about hope. I really think what they've done well as a brand is been able to identify themselves as Canada's brand. They've been able to wave that Canadian flag and have me feel really proud to be Canadian. And I think they've done a brilliant job of doing that. And that's where I think they are leading with hope. And I'll give you an example. This next piece ran in the 2010 Winter Olympics. And I think it's a really lovely ad and a great example of how Tim Hortons is leading with hope. Oops, sorry. Aww. Those are the kids from the wagon. Sorry, technical details. Let's try that again. There we go.
I will see you tomorrow.
Welcome to Tim Hortons. May I take your order, please?
Yes, 2 coffees, please. Cream and sugar.
Another quick example is on Dove. And this is a shorter example. Dove makes soap, they make shampoo, they make deodorants, they now make men's care, skincare line. And I can tell you that on the box it says it's the dermatologist's #1 recommended brand. I can tell you that it's made with 1/4 moisturizing cream and has litmus tests and all kinds of interesting product-y truths that come along with it. But if I only ever focused on those truths and I only ever told you all about scents and like cold cucumbers and whatever, that's great, but that's not compelling. That's not compelling. So truth is important because it tells you what it's going to do for you and it makes a promise to you and all those important things that brands need to do. But it doesn't inspire really, and it doesn't compel, and it doesn't captivate. And I think that's what brands need to do. They need to be leading with hope and mission, we want to go out, we want to tell women that they are beautiful just as they are, that all women are beautiful regardless of their color, shape, size, whatever. And so 10 years ago they started on this campaign, and they were just recognized recently for being brand of the decade, marketer of the decade. So that's really exciting. I tell this to you because I think what they did with it was more powerful. Yes, they make great soap and shampoo and so on, but what they do is they take that money and they channel it into things like the Dove Self-Esteem Fund, to mother and daughter workshops and so on. And the last thing they did was last summer they ran a girls' summit, and they invited women and girls from around the world to come and talk in Toronto. And this is an ad that they ran, and I think it proves again that great leading brands lead with hope. They always back up with truth, but they really lead, captivate, and inspire with hope. And this is the last ad I'll leave you with today.
We are so fortunate to have 21 girls from around the world in one room.
I'm from South Africa,
India, France, Saudi Arabia, Canada,
Malawi. I came to this summit because I believe I have something to say.
We can help girls everywhere reach their full potential.
girls, they should aim high. They need to be ambitious. I want to join the United Nations.
Maybe the first woman that is in politics in Saudi Arabia.
Believe in your dreams, follow your dreams, and do what you want to do. What you think about yourself is so important.
Real beauty is from within.
La vraie beauté, c'est la confiance en soi. I am beautiful.
So I am. You are one. I'm beautiful.
Great. So I've told you what my answer is. Inspire with hope, but back it up with truth. And my challenge to you is notice the brands that you connect with in your life and ask why. Why am I connecting with this brand? Why is it important to me? And the second thing is support brands who do more, that go beyond, that really make a difference.